episode of Glitter and Robes. I am Chanel.
And I'm Roy.
We are sitting directly at the intersection of drag and wrestling. And as Michelle Visage said in season 14 of RuPaul's Drag Race, wrestlers are drag queens.
And so tonight we're going to draw cards and ask each other questions about different things on wrestling.
Let's get started. The first question is, what is your favorite wrestling promotion?
I would say the USWA, if we're talking about of all time, in the Memphis territory. May not be the most popular time period of the Memphis territory, but it is what it was during my childhood.
I would say I have several favorite promotions. I really like Wow Women of Wrestling because it's an all-female or all-femme-bodied wrestling promotion, and I think that that's very rare in today's wrestling or in wrestling in general in history. And locally, I just saw Pride Style Pro, which is an all-inclusive, all-gender, all-ages wrestling promotion here in Las Vegas. We went to our first show the other day, and I really enjoyed that as well.
I wasn't there, but I wasn't there. I was at work.
He heard good things. All right, next question. Would you like to ask it?
Yes. Let's see. Have you met any wrestlers?
I have probably met less wrestlers than he has, but I have met Bianca Belair from WWE in person. That was really fun. We went to a MLW event in Charlotte, and we got to meet several of their superstars or former superstars at the MLW promotion. And we also got to randomly meet Joaquin Wilde from NXT when we were waiting to go into NXT down in Florida. So yes, I've met a few.
Yeah, we were taking pictures at the Performance Center, and he just opened the door, and I fist bumped him because there he was.
So that was really cool. And then I'd say the most memorable one was meeting Jerry Lawler, not because he's my favorite, but because of how much it meant to Roy to meet him.
Yeah, and I was dressed as Luigi because we were at a Comic Con and toy convention. So I met Jerry Lawler as Luigi. He
was little Luigi. But it was great. It was fun. What other wrestlers have you met?
Well, when we was at MLW, we met Hammerstone, he was the champion. And there was Alex Kane and Mr. Thomas Boomaye. Killer Cross was there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and we knocked over Ricky Morton. He was with Kerry Morton. We knocked over their merchandise stand. But we still got a picture with them.
We helped them clean up their merch after knocking the table over.
That's also true. We didn't leave it there.
We did not.
And Killer Cross, he was a giant of a man.
He was very nice though. I told him I was a big fan of Scarlett, his girlfriend, and he said he is too. And he signed a picture for me, and he told me at the next event that I see both of them at to bring it so that she can sign the other picture because it was a picture of both of them. So that was pretty cool.
But yeah, so there's so many that I've met, but...
Oh, 5150. I also enjoyed meeting 5150. I love 5150.
Slice Boogie and Daddy Limelight.
Yes. All right. Next question. Favorite finisher?
We'll just go with the pile driver, the Jerry Lawler pile driver. In the Tennessee area, the Memphis territory, it's illegal, but you knew when he hit it, the match was over either way. So the pile driver.
I am not a fan of the pile driver because it looks dangerous. It is dangerous, and it stresses me out. I would say that I don't know that I have so much a favorite finisher, but I have like a favorite wrestler who does a lot of these. That would be the suplex assassin, Alex Kane. The sheer amount of suplexes he has in his repertoire is insane. So anytime he's in a match, once he starts them suplexes, it's finished. So, he is the finisher to me.
Favorite faction?
I just answered this almost by saying Boomaye. I really liked during MLW when it was Boomaye was one of the big factions there. We had Crybaby Calvin t-shirts. So I really liked them. I really liked, who else? I guess I really liked Chase U. That was fun. Just like
yeah,
the
whole.
whole.
The Chase U section.
Yeah, the whole section, and everybody had the shirts and things like that. That was a fun faction for NXT and WWE. And at WoW, I really liked when Siren the Doll and Holidead teamed together.
Yeah, I like that too.
That was a good faction as well.
I wanted to say the Brood, but it's really, I don't really like Christian and Edge. I just like the Brood. But we do, I don't know about Chanel, but I like Edge when he teams with Beth because we love Beth.
We do love Beth.
I don't so much care for Edge and Christian. They were fine. So I'm going with the Hart Foundation. Brett, Owen, Neidhart, Bulldog, Pillman. I believe that they would have been way more legendary than the Horsemen. So the Hart Foundation.
Do you think women's wrestling should have more titles?
Yes, because there's I don't know, in the WWE, every guy has a title, and then there's 4 if you count NXT for the women, and they seem to all go around the storyline, so if they're not in the storyline for the title, they don't exist. WoW could use more titles, but they also have storylines that don't revolve around titles, so either add more titles or get more storylines.
I definitely agree. I feel like in WWE, there's a lot more opportunity for the women's division to have a lot more titles. Roman Reigns has 38 belts to himself. So I feel like if one person can have that many belts on the men's side, then there should at least be a comparable amount of title belts for the women to compete for, especially when you have NXT, Raw, and you have SmackDown, where, you could have titles upon titles upon titles for all 3 of these. And then, yes, in other promotions that we watch, they do tend to have a lot more in-depth storylines that go for quite a while, so you don't really need titles because you're building a story.
I mean, just with the tag titles, they don't have the NXT women's titles anymore. And the men have the titles, well, I guess they unified them, but they're still the tag champions on NXT. But, so we only get Kabuki Warriors, and I like Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, but there's only one tag title to go around. So I don't know if tag wrestling even matters in women's wrestling if you only watch WWE.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people do watch WWE. They are the most famous wrestling promotion out there. I'm not a huge fan of AEW. I don't really watch a lot of AEW. There are a lot of women's wrestlers at AEW that I do enjoy, so I do catch their matches.
But once again, they got, 2 or 3 titles for all the women they have.
Yeah, not enough. There's not enough.
And sometimes we forget they're there because they're not on TV.
Next question.
Favorite title belt?
I don't know. Let me see. I do own a title belt. I own the NXT Women's Championship title belt, the black and gold from NXT 1.0. I bought it the NXT before they changed to the white one with the neon. I do like the new NXT titles and the way they look. But I do miss the black and gold brand. So I guess I would say that that would be one of my favorite titles. It's very colorful. I like colorful things. Um, I would have liked the Divas belt if it didn't represent so many issues for me. You know, it's got a big old butterfly on it, and it's very quote unquote girly, and I'm just not a huge fan of this idea of you're a girl wrestler, so here's your Barbie belt. Um, Love Barbie, love all things very feminine. However, I just feel like that belt kind of misses the mark and was not taken as seriously as other title belts at the time. And it didn't look like a serious title belt at the time either. That's not to discount any of the strides that the women have made in the women's division to even get that far, because before that, how many titles did women have? You know, not a lot. Not a lot of chances to earn titles. But I do feel like compared to other belts of the time, it was a little camp.
I don't know. Might have to look into this, but I think this is when Michelle McCool and Layla both had the title and it split apart like the Best Friends Forever necklaces and stuff, and they put it together, and then they got the butterfly belt.
Oh, that's even more camp. And not in, you know, I don't say camp to mean anything bad. I just feel like those belts, the women's belts, weren't taken as seriously as they are now. They're still not taken seriously enough by the powers that be, who generally are men in suits, who at one point have probably wrestled for the 50,000 belts that they are offered as men, while the women get to fight over this one Best Friends Forever connect at the heart butterfly belt. You know, add some glitter to it, add some rhinestones, add some sparkle, which I love, again. But I just feel like they created this belt to say, here goes a belt. Now, stop complaining.
There's been a lot of cool belts, like the 205 Live Cruiserweight, the purple belt. I like that one. But really, the wing belt over the big gold belt, because I preferred WWF over WCW. And so the wing belt just looked cooler on Randy Savage than when he had the big gold belt.
And I know you really like Randy Savage. And
Yeah, I mean, there's several people who held both, so I decided to look at them being held by the same person, and it's the big gold wing belt. It's the wing belt.
you have one of those, right?
Yeah.
He has a toy winged eagle belt that he got for Father's Day, your birthday, Christmas, one of the holidays. All right. Favorite match this year?
Favorite match this year? I'm going to say probably Trick Williams and Carmelo against Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, for all the reasons that are Braun Breaker not dying, but knowing that Carmelo and Trick could be so much more. But the match was way better than I expect, because I don't expect anything from Baron Corbin. And I believe Chanel doesn't believe Braun Breaker can stay inside of a ring long enough to try to run the ropes.
He has fallen out of the ring and had issues with the ring ropes so many times. He came into NXT as, even though he didn't use his family name, he came in as a legacy. And I feel like they put him over way too soon. And he's shown that by tripping in and out of the ring on multiple occasions on national TV. He won a title, you know, and couldn't stay in the ring before the match started. It was a lot for me to be able to believe him as a wrestler who's ready for the big time. But that was a good match. I am a huge Trick and Carmelo fan. I know that it seems like they are heading towards a breakup. or if they haven't already
They have
broken.
already
Oh,
broken
then
up.
they are broken up. But I feel like they worked really well together at NXT. I feel like they could work really well together on the main stage. But my favorite match this year has to be the men's and the women's Royal Rumble match for the sheer reason that is R-Truth, who entered the men's match and the women's match at the same number. He is hilarious. His comedic timing is everything. I love R-Truth. And so he just really made the Royal Rumble that much better for me.
I mean, the competition was so stiff. Dominic had to make the hot tag to R-Truth. And knowing that R-Truth is one of the GOATs, why wouldn't you make the hot tag to R-Truth?
I would tag R-Truth.
I mean, he can take trash and just make it gold. And he did that for the Royal Rumble matches. Not that they were trash, he just made them better.
Yeah, he will always be my 24/7 champion. But yeah, so that's my favorite match this year. Favorite superstar of all time. These are subject to change.
This one is not subject to change.
Oh, never mind.
As Jerry Lawler is my favorite and the greatest of all time. Everything he does, from the promos to the matches, commentary, whatever he's done. The Memphis territory is my favorite territory. The first guy I remember seeing is the King. Whether he was feuding with Jimmy Valiant or Bill Dundee or Eddie Gilbert, or when him and Jeff Jarrett went against the Moondogs, all the way to the WWF, where he basically, where he basically helped make Bret Hart the face of the champion by being his biggest heel along with Owen. So it's Jerry Lawler. Who is yours?
My favorite superstar of all time. One of my favorite superstars of all I never have a simple answer for any of these questions. One of my favorite superstars of all times is the late great Umaga. Everything that Umaga did, I thought was great. I am a huge fan of the entire family that Umaga hails from. There are lots of superstars in that family, and I enjoy watching every single one of them. And let's see, of all time, I would say if we went off of merchandise that I owned, that Bianca Belair would be my favorite superstar of all time. She's gracious. As we said before, we met her in person. She was very nice. She is the EST. She's the strongest. She's the fastest. She's the best. I like her persona. I like the way she represents the culture in everything she does. I like the way that she carries herself, her music. Her WrestleMania entrances are the best WrestleMania entrances of all times. I don't think that we have that question in the pile, but if we did, I would definitely say every Bianca entrance has been great. That was one of the reasons when we went to SummerSlam in 2022, we sat at the entrance, was because we knew that the entrances, one, are really great, but also we knew that Bianca was going to put on a show, because she always does. So that is my greatest favorite superstar of all time.
Yeah, so this would be a good time to remind you to subscribe and like our videos.
Yes.
And check out our sponsor, Eyelicious. Speaking of Bianca Belair and everyone else, Eyelicious, it brings all the products that wrestlers and drag queens need in fashion, cosmetics, and beyond. Remember, it's Eyelicious.
It's Eyelicious. Also, even though it's a copyrighted name, it is not a real product, so do not Google it. Who is your favorite current superstar?
My favorite current superstar is, there's several that I like, but Naomi, as far as my top 10 of all time, of the ones that active on that, it's because some of them have retired or passed on. I believe some of them's passed on. Naomi is at the top of the ones that's still active, and everything she does is delicious. But even if there was a Mount Rushmore, she is on my Mount Rushmore. So Naomi.
I definitely agree. I am Team Glow all the way. I really enjoy Naomi, from her ring gear to the hair. Um, One of my favorite matches of all times was another Royal Rumble, and it was because of Naomi and her Spider-Man like climbing abilities in the Rumble, where she stuck to the wall.
I mean, she puts asses in seats because we had bought tickets for SummerSlam before Sasha and Naomi had to walk out.
We did.
We didn't want to go, but we still ended up going, and
Yes.
Bianca beat Becky, and
Which made me feel like it was at least worth it. But we did have signs that said we could not get our money back, because we could not get our money back for SummerSlam after Naomi and Sasha quit. And we fully supported their decision to quit. We stopped watching WWE all the way up until we were at the SummerSlam and a part of that premium live event.
And we have not really watched it up until we watched Royal Rumble and WrestleMania last year, and then Naomi has returned, so we have watched it since she's returned. But at that SummerSlam, I wore my Alexander Hammerstone and the MLW hat because they were a better product at that time.
And I wore my Naomi shirt because I was hoping that with the change in management at that time, that Naomi and Sasha would come back to the WWE, since so many people who were let go right before that came back when the management changed. But they did not. All right, our last question. Who is your least favorite wrestler?
Randy Orton. I don't understand Randy Orton. I don't know. He's been boring his whole career. I don't understand the Legend Killer, the Viper, whatever he is doing. RKO out of nowheres. They talk about people with the golden shovel. I don't even know if Randy Orton lost to John Cena. He seems to have a golden shovel. I know there was a time that I was asking for Randy Orton to come back before Bray Wyatt died. Only because I don't like Bray Wyatt, what they did with his character. So Randy Orton seemed to always just bury Bray Wyatt, no matter what he was doing. But other than that, I don't understand Randy Orton. So when he's gone, I don't miss him.
I feel like Randy Orton is a lot like Batman. He comes out every once in a while to beat up old people. So, yeah, but I don't have an opinion really either way about Randy Orton. I am not a huge fan of Braun Breaker, as we said before, just because I feel like he will be a great wrestler one day, but they have not given him enough time, or maybe he hasn't had the right training just yet, or it's not coming together for him in a cohesive way for his matches to look good all the time for him to be a superstar. I feel like when you move up to SmackDown or Raw from NXT, it is because you've proven yourself time and time again. Not because they've given you the titles time and time again, or that because you've won the titles time and time again, but because you've earned a spot. But, for him, when you come in under this legendary status, you're pushed right to the front of the line. And I feel like he was really pushed right to the front of the line. Some other wrestlers that I'm not huge fans of, purely out of gimmick, would be I'm not a huge fan of, Jesse
James.
James?
Jesse Jones.
Jesse Jones?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
That's her name.
Okay, yes. She's from Kentucky. She's here to make wrestling great again. So many things that I don't care for in that. Um, but I think that's about it. I feel like I like a lot of wrestlers. I'm here for anybody queer, anybody black, anybody, any person of color, any woman of color. Huge women's wrestling fan. That's about it.
Is that all the questions? I believe
That is 10 questions. Bonus question that I don't have an answer for, but you do. What is your favorite wrestling theme song?
I feel like you're cheating, but
He has a lot.
I like a lot of wrestling theme songs. I like to have them on my Apple playlist. I did order the WCW Slam Jam from Pro Wrestling Illustrated on cassette tape.
On cassette tape.
Jim Johnston made a lot of jams. Jimmy Hart. Dusty Rhodes theme song.
Is
The
your
American
ultimate
Dream.
favorite?
Yeah, that would be it.
That's a good theme song. I really liked. I just said I didn't have an answer, but I do like some songs. I really liked when Cameron Grimes had his theme song, and I had the shirt for that. And I really liked when Hit Row was a thing, and their theme song. That was one of the best. That's a faction I forgot to mention. Hit Row. Hit Row was a really good faction that I really liked. It wasn't about the fact that they could all rap or they could all wrestle, because some of them could rap, some of them could wrestle. Only Swerve could do both. But just the teamwork and them as a whole, as a faction, was really, really good.
The whole look was delicious. Like that time period of NXT before 2.0.
Yeah,
there were several people that was
chef's kiss of a time.
That was headed to WrestleMania, big flashy entrances, and Vince McMahon fired everybody.
Yeah, he really broke up all of the good things that I enjoyed about NXT, because at that time I preferred NXT over SmackDown and Raw, just because it had fresh, raw talent, and they were good, you know.
I do have the Hit Row and To the Moon on the Apple playlist.
I don't own any wrestling albums. I do own some drag queen albums, though. Well, that's for a different time and a different show. So we're going to wrap that up for now. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at Glitter and Robes. We are sitting directly at the intersection of drag and wrestling. Please subscribe and like our videos. We promise to get better every single time. And we hope that you enjoy. If you have any questions, please email us at glitterandrobes@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Glitter and Robes. You can find us on YouTube, Glitter and Robes, and Facebook at Glitter and Robes.
And TikTok, I believe, as well.
Yes, and TikTok.
And TikTok.
On Glitter and Robes.
So join us next time for
Glitter and Robes.